Hey, it's Joe Amoya, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. I've got a quick question for you. Are your standards too high? Do you hear from your friends, your family members, even your coworkers that you know what, you're too picky, you're asking for too much? Well, if so, I want you to pay close attention because you may not be. See, I believe if you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone, you better damn well be picky. You better make sure that this person has the really important qualities and characteristics that are going to allow you to have the relationship that you're looking for. But, and here's a big but, there's a big difference between having high standards and having unrealistic standards. You see, I hear it all the time is, Joe, I've got this list of 93 things. And you know what? If a guy doesn't have all 93, then you know what? He's not the right guy for me. And I'm like, really? 93? Can you read me some of those things? And then he's like, well, he's 6'2". He's got, great hair, a great smile. Now, look, before you start sending me emails, I'm not telling you to go out and marry a troll, marry some guy who you're unattracted to, a guy who's a good guy, a good provider, but you just have no spark, no chem. I'm not saying that at all. If you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone, you better be attracted to them. Okay? There has to be physical attraction. You have to be sexually compatible. Those are givens. But it's all that other stuff. That's what's really important. And whether a guy has, is 6'2" or 5'11", is it really that important in the big scope of life? So this is a way you kind of get a gauge. It's when you're looking at your list, those things that, you're saying, I need this, I've got to have this, and really get honest with yourself and say, is this really that important? Does this really affect my ability to have a great relationship? So in other words, if a guy is, you're looking for a guy, and again, you work out, you want a guy in shape, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're saying, a guy has to have washboard abs and the guy exercises and he treats you great and he's got maybe, 5 extra pounds on his body, but he's a great man, a great provider, a great lover, all those other things, is that extra 5 pounds, is it really that important? And see, that's when your expectations, your standards start to become unrealistic. Now, look, I'll be the first to admit there was a time in my life where I was unrealistic. I went for girls who looked a certain way, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And then I started realizing that, those relationships, the chemistry is great in the beginning, but those relationships never last. And I started, taking some mirror time and saying, what's really important? What are those vital, important qualities and characteristics that I must have? And that's why I created my checklist for love. And when I was done, there were literally 7 things. And I knew that if I was going to spend the rest of my life with someone, she had to have all those 7 things. And then I just started dating someone until I found the one who had all those 7 things. And it's like, guess what? All those other things that, were on my old list, it's like, they're really not that important. I was being too picky. And then I realized that these 7 things, those are high standards. If I'm going to have the relationship that I want, I'm going to be with my true life partner, then these things are vital. And this is not being picky. This is not having standards which are too high. These are having standards which are very realistic and which are vital to having a healthy, fulfilling, and long-lasting relationship. So here's your homework. Okay? I want you to take a step back, some mirror time, and really look at your standards. Okay? If you have a list, look at your list and really get honest with yourself and say, okay, is it possible that my standards are too high? Some of the things that I'm looking for in the big scope of life, in the big scope of relationships, aren't that important. Or do you realize that, what? Nope. These things are vital. If I'm going to have a happy, fulfilling, successful relationship, I'm not being unrealistic. I'm not being too picky. I'm being smart. You see, if you're going to have healthy boundaries, realistic standards, you're being smart. You're not being too picky. And that's a lesson that I learned the hard way. And that's why I created this video for you today. I want you to understand that, is that, all those people say you're too picky, really look at that and ask them why. What am I asking for that is so unrealistic? And what am I asking for that is not important in having a happy and fulfilling relationship? And just listen to what they say. If they say, well, look, look at the guys you're going for, that's a little unrealistic, then you might want to look at that and own up to that. Okay? So that's your homework. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because, I know this is one of those controversial videos about, standards, boundaries, and thinking things need to be a certain way. But very often when we blow the cover off things, we see what we believe, what we perceive isn't always the truth. So that's the goal of GPS for Love, is to help you find the truth so you can create that great relationship with an awesome man that will give you the love, honor, and respect that you desire and deserve. So go ahead, take your mirror time, put your questions, comments, and feedback in the box below. As always, honor, privilege to be with you. I'll see you next time. Much love.